Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Finance Governors Committee to order for February 13, 2014. And Madam Clerk, roll call and posting of the agenda.
Member Basua,
Here.
Member Tehran,
Here.
Chair Zaragoza.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board on February 6, 2024.
Please join me to salute our flag, the United States of America. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Our next item is item B. This is public comments not on the agenda, and I have a list where we have Mr. Alejandro Chavez. I think, is he on Zoom or
Chair Zaragoza, yes, Alejandro is on virtually.
virtual? Okay, Alejandro, can you hear us?
Alejandro, please press star 6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, I can hear.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry, what was that?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
I just had a quick comment. My comment is not in line with the finance and governance meeting, but to the Ventura County Fentanyl and Overdose Crimes Unit. My question is, what can pharmacists do in terms of education and community outreach to help with the opioid epidemic in the city?
Okay, so I think that probably our staff heard that, and potentially we can, if we have information, Alejandro, we can contact you with that information. Thank you. Any other speakers, either virtually or in person?
Chair Zaragoza, there's no additional speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to item C. This is a consent, City Clerk Department approval of the minutes, recommendation to the Finance and Governors Committee approve the minutes of January 23rd, 2024 regular meeting as presented. Council members, committee members. Okay, first by Basua,
Second?
second by Tehran. Please vote.
Is the speaker still on mute?
Mayor, I have a first by Councilmember Basua, a second by Member Tehran. Motion carries 3-0.
So do we have any other speakers virtually or no?
No, we do not have any more speakers virtually or in person. I just muted the one of the panelists.
Thank you for that. Okay, our next item is D1. This is a report from the City Manager Department. It's approval of the federal and state lobbyist agreement. A recommendation to the Finance and Governance Committee recommended to City Council, 1, approve and authorize the mayor to execute an agreement 324-00402 with Hayrod Incorporated, John R. O'Donnell, in an amount not to exceed $208,000 over an initial 3-year term for the federal agency and lobbying professional services. And 2, approve and authorize the mayor to execute agreement number 324-00408 with Michael Arnold and Associates Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $180,000 over the initial 3-year term for the state of California advocacy and lobbying professional services. And this item was pre-recorded in item M, and we do have Mr. Adam Smith for any additional information. Council members, I was just asking, that I was sharing with staff earlier that I think either John O'Donnell has been with the city for years and years and years. It's an excellent job for the city, and of course, Michael also with the state. So and also my understanding that we had 4 proposals and they came out on top. Is that right, Mr. Smith? You want to share any additional information on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the committee. For the federal, yes, we had 4 responses to our RFP for the federal, and we had 2 total for state.
For state? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 and 2.
4 for the federal and 2 for
and
state.
2 for the state, okay. Council members, any questions? No? Yes? Go ahead. Councilman Tehran?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for the presentation. I'm wondering if, just briefly, you can describe a little bit about the scope of work for what our lobbyists tend to do for the city and why we put out this RFP to have them have these services provided.
Sure, thank you for the question. Our lobbyists, well, it's important to note that lobbyists are, it's not unique to the city of Oxnard. Cities, counties, the state, we all have advocacy firms that we work with to further the city's interests. It helps the city obtaining grant funding or additional funding from state budgets. And informs and prepares the city about upcoming legislation at the state house, at the state house or at the federal level, it provides insight and recommendations for the city going forward. I also want to add that we do have our 2 lobbyists on the Zoom if you have any questions directed at them.
Oh, we do, okay. Any additional comments?
That was just my question, just for that background. Thank you very much.
Any comments? And toward lobbyists, would you guys like to share anything with the city council, with our committee members at this time, if you can hear me?
Mayor and members of the council, this is John O'Donnell with MMO Partners in Washington. I just want to express our appreciation for continuing our contract to work for the city in Washington. And as Mr. Smith mentioned in his response to the councilman's question, we focus a lot on legislation, grants, and regulatory matters. And in the legislative area, what we do is focus on the continuation of programs like the Community Development Block Grant Program, the Burn Justice Assistance Program, the COPS program, a host of infrastructure programs that have been authorized by the current administration, but there are also ongoing surface transportation programs that deal with highways and air quality and transit. So we work in all of those areas, and what we do is track legislation, look for grant opportunities, and in the past few years when they have restarted the earmarking process, we work with the 2 senators and Congresswoman Brownlee to submit earmarks on behalf of the city, and we've done that for the past 3 years, and the city has obtained funding for the replacement of a water pipeline. We're entering the appropriation season now, and we've talked with the city manager's office about what the priority request would be for FY25. That's the appropriation cycle that we're going into. And in our response to the RFP that the city put out, there were 4 program areas that we focused on, and it's the construction of Santa Clara River Levee number 3.
Oh, that's important.
Continue cleanup of the Halico site, working with EPA, the seawalls at Mandalay Bay that need replacement, and aquifer storage and recovery. And I would say, in light of what the mayor said about our long relationship with the city, it was what we did years ago working with the city and the Bureau of Reclamation to create, authorize, and fund the GREAT program. So we continue to work in that water recycling, water conservation, and water supply space for the city in Washington. I'm happy to answer any questions about what I just mentioned.
I just want to thank you so much because the levee is extremely important to us, and Helico and the seawalls, especially the seawalls too, and the levees here in North Oxnard, because that levees cover about, I think 7,000 or so homes in North Oxnard. And I think it's really, really important. Also, the saving water is extremely important. So I just want to thank you. In fact, Sally and Adams, I just remember I've been with the city for many, many years. And I still remember you helping us out. And especially nowadays, the way Congress is, I better not say anymore. We need you there. But I want to thank you for your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chair Zaragoza? Chair Zaragoza, there are no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, well, thank you to our lobbyists at Councilmember Swas, the motion.
Yeah.
One more?
And
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I would just also comment, hi, this is Christy Foy, and I'm legal counsel and lobbyist with Arnold and Associates.
Oh, my
And we're
apologies, I
here in
didn't see you.
Sacramento.
Okay, thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely,
Go ahead.
not a problem. And I just wanted to say, you know, I've worked together with Michael Arnold, and we've represented the Oxnard city for a number of years.
Right.
And similar to what your federal lobbyist does at the federal level, we here in Sacramento cover all your legislative issues here at the state capitol, and also work on some funding for any of your projects and work closely with your staff, who I must say does an excellent job for you. And we really enjoy working with your staff there at the city. Some of the projects we've worked on in the past are also in regard to the Channel Islands water quality, seawall repair, and the recycled water project. And some other things that we work on in addition to the legislation are also looking for grant funding. And over the last few years, we worked together with your staff in getting the city of Oxnard over $13 million directed for local city projects. And so we'll again be working on that this year. It'll be a little bit more challenging with the state budget deficit and the problems we have here in Sacramento, but we'll definitely continue to focus on that and work together in the future for the city of Oxnard.
And again, thank Arnold and Associates. It's really, really great working with you, and we do need you in Sacramento too, which is very, very competitive, especially with the budget this year. Thank you tremendously.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Councilmember, hold on, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you to you both for that insight. And Councilwoman Basua has moved the recommended action. I'll second that. I just wanted to share very quickly the number of items that they shared there, which are all high priorities and very important. The ASR wells and our recycled water program. I know I've said it a number of times over the years that I've been on council, 2.5 years or so. And, you know, this decade, water is going to be a continually increasing part of the discussion in this region, not just in the county of Ventura, not just in the city of Oxnard, but in the southwestern United States. And I appreciate the work that's happened in the years leading up to this from staff and including our lobbyists in getting us to the point we're at, and we continue to move forward with it. You can look at neighboring jurisdictions who are looking at similar efforts and the price tag attached to that, around the $500 million mark. And we are steps ahead of that and still continue to move forward with progress. And I want to thank, you know, the folks who've done that work, including our lobbyists. So with that, I'll second Councilwoman Basua's motion.
Yeah, thank you. And again, you know, as a council member, the ASRs are really important because we continue to work with Med, Callejas, and United. And I think it's extremely important, especially right now, people don't think about water savings because of the rain, but the ASR banks is really going to help us in the future. Thank you again very much for your support from the feds and also from the state. Thank you so much. Okay, please vote. We got a first by Basua, second by Tehran. Please vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you so much. Our next item is it would be D2, and this is Information Technology Department. Subject Third Amendment Agreement of 323000297 with Coral for IT consulting and recruiting services. Recommendation the Finance and Governance Committee recommend that City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute a Third Amendment to a professional service agreement 2300297 with Coral LLC to increase the value of the agreement from $500,000 to $950,000 through June 30th, 2025 for information technology, consulting, and recruiting services. And again, this is a pre-recorded Measure M item, and we have Robert Rubin. So, council members, any questions of Mr. Rubin? Go ahead, Councilman Tehran.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Rubin, for the information we have before us. I see we have two items. I have just one question for this item and then another question on the next item. Just in general for the amendment we have to this agreement before us here, Can you just briefly explain a little bit about what this particular agreement does, or what this contractor does through this agreement for the city?
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mayor and committee members. It'd be my pleasure to answer that question. So Core One is a recruiting vendor that the information technology group uses. We use them for two main purposes. One, to find permanent staff. As you're probably well aware, it's very difficult to find information technology staff with the particular computer systems and the computer hardware here that we use here in the city. And so this vendor is able to leverage a lot of their professional network, their industry knowledge. They have a number of recruiters that work under that vendor's umbrella, and they're actively searching for candidates, so that not only do we get the candidates that we already get that come through our normal job posting, but then they're able to reach out and actively pursue other candidates that might be looking for jobs, or also those, and this is an area that they have a particular advantage on, is that they can find good candidates that are currently not really looking for a job, but when presented with the mission of the city and the opportunity that we have here, we can get them pretty excited about what we're doing. So they're able to find those kind of candidates and bring us some really very good quality candidates. The other thing that we use these vendors for, and Core One in particular, and then we'll get to the next agenda item, is for contract labor. So from time to time, we need a particular skill set for a short duration for a number of reasons. It could be to do a project that's on a particular old technology that we don't really want to hire staff for permanently because the skill set is older, and so we just need to be able to get some help on board to get us over the hump, and to get some projects moving. And this vendor is able to be able to find those kind of people and get us to staff up very quickly.
And that's smart to do, because there's people that can use maybe some part-time work on a project, opposed to coming in at permit or so.
That's correct.
Status, yeah.
Right. We want to reserve the hiring of our permanent staff for the skills that we need long-term. So we don't want to be making some short-term hires with the wrong skill set.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Certainly.
No,
No, I
okay.
had the same
So,
questions.
No questions, so motion on this item.
Chair Zaragoza,
Any speakers? I'm almost there.
we have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, so we need a motion. on this
I'll,
item.
I'll move the
Motion.
recommended action.
Councilman Turan first, second by Basua. Please vote.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, our next item is item 3, again, Information Technology Department, First Amendment to Agreement to 324-00125 with Harlot. Is that correct, Ruben?
It'd be higher clout, yeah.
Okay, Harlot, anyway, for IT consulting and recording services. The recommendation that Finance and Governance Committee recommended that the City Council approve and authorize the mayor to execute the First Amendment for Professional Services Agreement 324-00125 with Harlock Incorporated to increase the value of agreement from $200,000 to $850,000 through June 30th, 2025 for Information Technology Consulting and Recruiting Services. And again, this is per Measure M, and we have Mr. Rubin again. I have a quick question on this, Mr. Rubin. And I think, and I'm sure that the council member has another question. One of the things that you mentioned in your report, this is for qualified personnel to work with fire, police, public works, and all the departments. Is that similar to number one, or?
Great question. Yes, both of these vendors, and I don't mean to steal the next question if there's the next question loaded, but these vendors do a very similar role. In fact, by having two, we get the advantage of having a little bit of competition between them, so that we're able to fill positions more quickly. They're doing effectively the same thing. They're looking for the same candidates. We give each of the vendors a fair and equal chance at each of the job opportunities. And by having two, we get the advantage of a broader network, a broader search, and a little competition between them.
Kind of helps.
Yeah. for sure.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. That was along the lines of the question I was looking at, is the two items, the previous one and the current one, were fairly similar, and I just was hoping to get an idea for the benefit of the public on what if any difference we have between the two vendors. But that answered it perfectly, is that they have a similar mission, but or a similar function in the agreements. However, it seems that they, in order to, I guess for lack of a better phrase, to receive their payment or reimbursement for the work, the services they provide, they have to act quickly and be the one that provides the actual hire or recruitment. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. They are reimbursed only when they find a successful candidate.
Okay, and that's when that candidate is placed?
That's when they're actually placed, not interviewed, but we accept them and onboard them, and
Great.
So that creates that tension a little bit between the two vendors, so that neither could relax, and we get much better service out of it.
Sure, I appreciate that, and that makes a whole lot of sense, because reading the two items, I thought, well, why do we have two vendors? Do they do something different that I'm not seeing? But that answered it perfectly. Thank you. And just real quickly, I know that it's something that's been stated at this committee and I think at the council in the past, but when we have information technology recruitment efforts come forward to us, if you could just give us a 25-word or less kind of synopsis on the state of the field of information technology and the recruitment and the competition and having to be competitive as a city, what that looks like for that field.
The 25-word limit might be a problem.
Around that,
But,
you can, it's ballpark.
Certainly,
Yes.
certainly. So as you're well aware, it's a very competitive marketplace. We're competing with a lot of private industry as well as other municipalities in the area.
And I was going to ask that question. It's a good question.
Same question or a variation?
No,
of it?
they work with other municipalities, you were saying.
Certainly.
Others too, so,
Yep.
okay.
So we're drawing from a pool of candidates that have a lot of options, right? And here in the city, we have a particularly valuable mission to our residents. And it's one of the things that we offer is we can get these candidates pretty excited about being part of building out the IT organization here and serving that mission. So that's one of our key values that we're able to excite candidates on. We have to be competitive with salary best we can and the rest of the benefit package, but it's really the mission that we're looking for when we're hiring candidates, whether they're for contract or for perm, is that's what I value the most, is a focus on delivering against the mission.
Sure, thank you for that. And I'll just say, Mayor, and for Mr. Rubin, that as competitive of a field as IT is, we certainly have some good team members already in our IT department. We also want to retain them because it is a competitive market. We don't want anyone to take them away, but also any talent we get to replace those who move on or those who retire, we want them to be, really up with where the industry is with their certifications or experience, and then we want to retain them for as long as possible. It'd be great if they could retire from here too, but we got to get them too, and that's what I think this recruitment is about. So thank you.
Certainly.
And also, I want to thank, our staff and our city manager and so forth, because a while back, I can't remember what year, 2 years ago, we were in automobile, we were in a VW, and I hope we're now in a Camry, getting closer to a Lexus. As far as the work is concerned, where are we now? We're much better than before.
Well, we're improving. We certainly have a long ways to go, but we're making some really important strides in some of the projects that we are undertaking, and some of the ones that we've completed recently address some audit issues. They address a number of key things that bring our technology more up to date. Still have a long ways to go. We have a lot of work ahead of us, but it's exciting.
But we're getting there.
We are getting there. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Good. Any speakers, Madam?
Chair Zaragoza, there's no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this item.
I'll second.
First by Zaragoza, second by Tehran. Please vote.
Thank you. Motion carries 3-0.
Okay, our last item, this is Housing Department. Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Our last item is approval of the sole source contract with John Stevens Lewis LLC for rent stabilization. Consulting Services, recommendations, the Finance and Governments Committee recommend that the City Council authorize the city manager and his designee to execute a second amendment to the agreement number 9676-22CA with John Stevens Lewis LLC, increasing not to exceed the amount $199,000 to $249,000. And this was a pre-recorded item per Measure M. We have Mr. Emilio Ramirez. Any questions of Mr. Ramirez? Look, well, I have one quick question. My understanding that John has been doing a good job for the city, and we're just really basically increasing his contract. Is that what it is, as opposed to sole source?
That's perfect, yeah. John's doing, Mr. Lewis is doing a great job, amazing job. I'm not sure that we can handle the workload without him. We still are not fully staffed up in still relatively new rent control program that we're operating. And we feel like his work is invaluable and we need to continue that contract. So we are proposing to extend it by $50,000 through the balance of the current calendar year.
Okay, and that's great. Okay, any questions? Questions? Need a motion?
Chair Zaragoza.
Any speakers, first of all?
No, we have no speakers virtually or in person for this item.
First by Basua,
I will second.
second by Tehran. Please vote. Thank you, Emilio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you so much. Our next item is item excuse me, items for future agendas. No? No? Okay, then we are adjourned. Thank you.